It's that time of the year again when reports and books pour out forecasting what will be trending in the new year. While many are painting a grim picture for next year's economy, a continuation of what has been happening during the pandemic, will we be able to thrust forward beyond the limitations that seem to be posed by the economic woes? For some insight, it's an annual thing now. We connect with Dr. Su-jin, the co-author of 2023 Consumer Trend Insights and a research fellow at Consumer Trend Center at Seoul National University. It's been a year. Good morning.
Good morning. How you been?
I've been great. And I'm trying to process that a whole year has passed and we're doing this dance all over again.
Oh, same here too.
All right. I'm sure our listeners already know about the book, Consumer Trend Insights. We talked about it last year around this time. You're one of the co-authors. Could you first give a general introduction to this year's edition with the acronym Rabbit Jump?
Yes, this year we stand for the rapid jump. COVID-19 has been relentlessly shaped our lives over the past 3 years, and yet it's still ongoing. And even worse, the economy is entering recession period, and this is very huge. According to various economic indicators such as stock prices or economic survey index, global economy appears to have entered a phase of slowdown or stagnation. So, which means it is very difficult for us or the economy to improve throughout the 2023. As like our tradition, we use Chinese zodiac that next year is the black rabbit. And the rabbit often appears as a symbol of the wisdom, right? So we hope that 2023 will be the year in which we can leap forward by borrowing the wisdom of the rabbits. So this year we used headline for this book expressed as Rabbit Jump, and each alphabet is abbreviated to explain the 10 consumption trend keywords in 2023. Some keywords are about the changes in Korean society direction and the market changes due to the recession that I mentioned about, like reduction of average or cherry humor or new demand strategy. And others are about the changes in values due to the emergence of new generations, like office big bang and index relationships, digging momentum and Neverland syndrome and alpha generation. And lastly, some are about the changes in retail and space according to technological process like proactive technology and spatial power. And those are 10 keywords that we made for this year.
We may need more than one conversation to cover all bases, but refer to the books. We just want to do a Reader's Digest version today, an introduction into the acronym Rabbit Jump. I haven't even gotten used to Gen Z. We're moving on to the alpha generation, it seems, for those of you guys who are not keeping up. 2010 and later. In the prologue of this, next year's Consumer Trend Insights, the book reads that the year 2023 is approaching amid bleak global economic outlook, as you've said. It seems it's natural for us to draw comparisons from the 2008 financial crisis. So what notable changes are expected and what will likely stay the same?
I think this question is very important. And there's a certain pattern in the consumption during the recessions. Like, obviously, consumers' spending decreases and the demand for cheaper prices or goods are very increased. Like, even in 2008, at the time of the financial crisis, the reasonable was the main keyword. I think it was a 2008 that Zara, which stands for the fashion brand with reasonable price, entered the domestic market as well as Uniqlo, and it showed really explosive good sales growth about that time. As the middle of 2022 passes, the social situation these days is similar to that time, and consumption patterns that emphasize rationality, so-called cost effectiveness consumption. In Korea, we could say 가성비, become more prominent. Like some consumers using they're acting like. Have you ever heard about the no spending challenges?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard?
I've heard. I haven't implemented.
Oh, really? Oh, you did?
No. I've heard about it, but I realize how unrealistic it is for me to spend that little. So I didn't even try. But I understand the sentiment. I mean, because the cost of living is expensive, food is more expensive. We had that the supermarket fried chicken that was really affordable, right? That might be part of the trend you just mentioned.
Yeah, and some consumers are cooked at home rather than using delivery services. That are the other patterns as well. And I think these consumption trends show the typical patterns of the consumption during the recession. But however, this is very important that the meaning of the cost effectiveness that people are looking these days are really got changed. In the past, it means compromising with reasonable price or performances. But these days, cost effectiveness now means focusing or maximizing cost efficiency. Like if you have to spend money anyway, you have to enjoy the best satisfaction with just one rather than having several mediocre products. Let's say if you spend 3 hours on a drama you really, really want to watch. On the other hand, if you enjoy the 3 minute summary contents, you can to just understand the plot of popular contents. In that case, we could say you've enjoyed properly as a cost-effective way. So to sum up, I think cost effectiveness can be said to be like a strategic intensive consumption rather than alternative choice. I think that has been really changed.
That's a pretty big shift if you think about it. And it leads us into, I think, a related third question of the day, the redistribution of average. This is tricky because this is how I believe marketers, advertisers, and everyone else involved in those industries would gear to a target audience. The average should be the target. But if it is, in fact, divided and the average ceases to exist, it suggests that customized, tailored, narrowed down targets is probably a better approach. Can you maybe care to elaborate what this change indicates?
I think you've got a point very well. The most remarkable change in our society, I think recently is that the typical is disappearing. And as we think about the average, the premise of distribution as a gentle bell shape with the larger number around the average in the middle and the decreasing in frequency as one moves away from the center. So if you fit in this average, well, we could able to survive or secure our normal life. However, recently this concept is very collapsing, and there are three patterns related to reduction of average, like polarization, multipolarization, and monopolization. First, a polarization, which is very well known to this concept. In times of recession, people look for like ultra threat-free products, but as well as ultra high prices like luxury goods, and they are tend to go along with them. And secondly, I want to talk about the multipolarization, which is very important to the business area. Just as everyone's tastes diversified, these existing patterns changed. Like previously, like whiskey was the mainly reserved for some people of high age or high income. But it has been really changed, like among 20s or 30s of consumers are really enjoying easily whiskey these days. And that has been, yeah, it got a big change. And lastly, I want to tell about monopolization, and it's very easily to found at platform economy. Like in case of KakaoTalk, which started service in 2010, it is the most frequent and used app by Koreans and is unmatched in the related app market. And I think it's really have to elaborate more carefully about the average in the era of these times, and the special measures are desperately needed for to meet the other consumers' needs.
You're absolutely right, because if you look at consumer spending and us generally decreasing spending in times of financial crisis, and you turn to the whiskey market and the wine market and things look bleakly different, it's confusing. But it is that very difference that we ought to pinpoint in Consumer Trend Insights 2023. Speaking of which, you mentioned some of the acronyms, including but not limited to the Office Big Bang, referring to perhaps the Great Resignation and some ripple effects. Cherry Zoomers, I always thought Cherry Picker had a bad reputation, but this is kind of a positive spin. Peter Pan and the Neverland syndrome. Can you walk us through some of these key words you find to be the most important?
I think you've catched all very well.
I read the book.
Thank you. I want to tell some people that I want to about the keywords. And recently, that home and workplace and market has been changed because of the emergence of a new generation, like Comert referred as to MZ. And this new generation brings a lot of changes in element of our society. And the keywords that you've mentioned, it's going to I want to tell about they are especially got affected by these consumers.
Mm.
About first cherry Schumers, like you mentioned, in the past consumers who diligently picked the benefits provide a membership but did not make a purchase will call cherry pickers. Now we would like to call consumers who pursue extremely rational consumption as cherry Schumers. And cherry picker had you said, slightly negative connotation, but cherry Schumer has a neutral meaning. Like for instance, original like gift free gifts given when buying cosmetics have also been really got changed. If it's not a simply for trials, but it's also made for be used in small quantities.
Mm.
Like some brands sell products for giveaways, nicely wrapped and separately for these days, and these are very good example of cherry Schumer. And for the next office Big Bang is the workplace where the realization is most evident these days. Like you said, the Great Resignation, although organization culture of the Korea has also got very significantly changed. So the office Big Bang in the sense that this culture has been maintained ever since like industrialization is rapidly changing in the level of the Big Bang.
Mm.
So this phenomenon is not only discuss the recent increase in turnover, but also explores the causes of change in the sense of belonging, or the we all have to seek practical ways to attract and retain like good talent of members. And lastly, I think it's for the most important part is this young way of thinking is not exclusive for the young generation
Mm.
only. There's a problem for all of the like predecessors, like X's, baby boomers. Rejuvenation has become the greatest virtue and direction, like Neverland, like Peter Pan and his friends who never grew old and remained children. I think Korean is admiring Neverland syndrome.
Mm.
Like they really wants to remain young, and this is not just about the matter of plastic surgery or beauty to look young. It is about the youthful thinking or being revealed throughout the way of thinking and values. And with, I think it is more important to look these trends, and we have to look thoroughly
Mm.
about these trends, positive and negative aspects together.
Thank you very much. You had to summarize an entire book for us, but thank you for getting the conversation started. We'll let you go. I understand you're in a rush this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. E. We'll speak to you again next year.
Ah, thank you for calling me again.
All right. We spoke to Dr. Su-jin this morning. She is the co-author of the 2023 Consumer Trend Insights and a research fellow Consumer Trend Center at Seoul National University. Maybe you can pick up one of her books, Consumer Trend Insights 2023, and it will go into details of what Rabbit Jump stands for. We talk about the state of the economy all the time without providing a solution as to how to prepare yourself. This might be it. It takes wisdom and grace to weather difficulties during tough economic times. If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.